Ever wonder why we're still using wires in 2026? Think about it. You have a smartphone that can connect to the internet from anywhere on Earth. You can video call someone on the other side of the planet. You can access the entire sum of human knowledge wirelessly. But to charge that phone, you need to plug it into a wall with a wire, invented over 100 years ago. Most people think wireless power is something we're still trying to figure out, something that might be possible in the future. Maybe with quantum technology or some breakthrough we haven't discovered yet. But here's what they don't tell you. Here's what they've been hiding. Wireless power isn't the future. It was the past. And one man proved it worked. Completely, perfectly, over 120 years ago. His name was Nikola Tesla. And what he discovered about transmitting electricity through the very fabric of space itself was so revolutionary, so absolutely world-changing, that the most powerful men of his era made a decision. They decided the world wasn't ready for it. Or more accurately, they decided they weren't ready to lose control. Because if Tesla had succeeded, if his Wardenclyffe Tower had gone online as planned, everything would have changed. No power lines crisscrossing continents, no monthly electricity bills, no energy companies, no control. That's why they stopped him. That's why they destroyed his tower. That's why wireless power became impossible. But it never was. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why the world you live in could have been completely different. Why your phone could charge itself just by existing. Why your home could run on power pulled from the air itself. Why everything you were taught about electricity and transmission was a carefully constructed lie. This is the truth about wireless power. And it starts with understanding why there even needs to be a limit. You learned about electricity in school, right? The basics. Power plants generate electricity. That electricity travels through metal wires, copper, aluminum, whatever conducts well. It reaches your home through power lines. You plug in your devices. Electricity flows through the wire into your device. Simple, logical, the only way it could possibly work. Except, it's not the only way. And one man knew that. Nikola Tesla was born on July 10, 1856, during a lightning storm so violent that the midwife declared him a child of darkness. His mother responded, "No, he will be a child of light." And she had no idea how prophetic those words would become. Tesla wasn't like other people. From childhood, he experienced what he called visions. He could see complete machines in perfect three-dimensional detail rotating in his mind, every gear, every wire, every component. He could build entire inventions without ever touching a piece of metal. He would design them completely in his imagination, test them, improve them, and only then would he construct the physical version. And here's the remarkable thing. When he finally built these machines in reality, they worked perfectly. Exactly as he'd visualized. Some called him a genius. Others called him insane. Tesla called it the gift. And that gift led him to see things about electricity that no one else could see. Things that would change everything. In 1884, Tesla arrived in America with 4 cents in his pocket, a book of poetry, and calculations for a flying machine. He went to work for Thomas Edison. Edison was already famous. The Wizard of Menlo Park. Inventor of the light bulb, or so everyone believed. Edison's system used direct current, DC power, electricity flowing in one direction, constant and unchanging. But Tesla saw something else, something that would make Edison's entire empire obsolete. February 1882, Budapest, Hungary. Tesla is walking through the city park with a friend, reciting Goethe's Faust from memory. The glow retreats done is the day of toil, it yonder haste is, new fields of life exploring. Suddenly, Tesla stops. His friend asks what's wrong. Tesla is frozen, staring at nothing, his eyes wide. In his mind, he's seeing something no human has ever seen before, a motor, spinning, but not with direct current like every motor ever built. This motor is running on alternating current, electricity that reverses direction, back and forth in a continuous wave. And it's not just running, it's perfect. Tesla grabs a stick, draws the design in the dirt of the park path. "Watch me reverse it," he says. His companion has no idea what he's talking about, but in Tesla's mind, the motor is reversing direction smoothly, effortlessly. He had just invented the technology that would power the entire 20th century, but he couldn't tell anyone. Not yet. When Tesla arrived in America 2 years later, he tried to explain alternating current to Edison. Edison's response: "Tesla's ideas are splendid, but they are utterly impractical." Why? Because Edison had invested everything in direct current, his entire business empire, every power station he built, every patent he held, all DC. If alternating current succeeded, Edison would be finished. So Edison did what powerful men do when threatened. He tried to destroy Tesla. The war of currents had begun. Edison launched a propaganda campaign to prove AC was dangerous. He publicly electrocuted animals, dogs, cats, even an elephant named Topsy, using alternating current, trying to prove it was a killer current. He lobbied states to use AC in electric chairs, hoping to associate Tesla's invention with death. He spread lies, paid newspapers, did everything in his power to stop alternating current from succeeding. But here's the thing about truth. It doesn't care about propaganda. Tesla's AC system could transmit power over hundreds of miles with minimal loss. Edison's DC could barely go a few blocks before the energy dissipated completely. Tesla's system needed thin wires. Edison's needed cables as thick as your arm. Tesla's system was simply better. In 1893, Tesla got his chance to prove it. The World's Fair in Chicago, the White City, hundreds of thousands of visitors from around the world, and Tesla and his partner George Westinghouse won the contract to light it. On opening night, with one flip of a switch, 100,000 incandescent bulbs blazed to life simultaneously. The crowd gasped. They had never seen anything like it. Tesla's alternating current had just lit up the future. Edison had lost. But Tesla was just getting started, because lighting up a fair was impressive. But what Tesla was planning next would change the fundamental nature of power itself. He was going to eliminate the wires entirely. Tesla's laboratory on South Fifth Avenue in New York City, he invites a group of scientists and journalists to witness a demonstration. The room is set up strangely. In the center, a large coil of wire, what would become known as a Tesla coil. Around the room, various glass tubes and bulbs, but none of them connected to anything. No wires, no batteries, nothing. Tesla gives a short lecture about the nature of electricity, about electromagnetic fields, about resonance. Most of the audience is lost. Then Tesla presses a switch. The coil begins to hum, then crack with electrical discharge. And suddenly, all around the room, the glass tubes light up brilliantly. No wires touching them, no connections, just light. Tesla walks around the room, holding tubes in his bare hands. They glow as he holds them. One scientist asks, "How is this possible?" Tesla smiles. "Gentlemen, I am transmitting electrical power through the air, through space itself. No wires, no connections, just energy flowing through the electromagnetic field." But this was just a party trick compared to what Tesla was planning. He wasn't content with lighting tubes in a laboratory. He wanted to transmit power across entire continents. To understand how, you need to understand something fundamental about how Tesla saw the world. Most people look at the earth and see dirt, rock, solid ground. Tesla looked at the earth and saw a conductor, a giant spherical conductor suspended in space, surrounded by an electrically charged atmosphere. Think about lightning. Where does that power come from? From the difference in electrical potential between the clouds and the ground. There's always a voltage difference. Always. Even when there's no storm. The Earth has a negative charge. The ionosphere about 60 miles up has a positive charge. Between them, there's roughly 400,000 volts of potential difference at any given moment. Tesla realized something profound. The Earth itself is like a giant battery. And if you could tap into it, if you could send electrical pulses through the Earth at just the right frequency, you could make the entire planet resonate like a bell. And if the planet is resonating, anyone with a receiver tuned to that frequency could extract power from it. Anywhere, anytime. No wires needed. This wasn't science fiction. This wasn't fantasy. This was physics, and Tesla set out to prove it. May 1899. Tesla arrives in Colorado Springs with trunks full of equipment and a mind full of audacious plans. Why Colorado Springs? Altitude, 6,035 feet above sea level, closer to the ionosphere, and more importantly, frequent thunderstorms, natural electrical activity to study. Tesla builds a laboratory unlike anything seen before. A wooden structure, 60 feet square. In the center, a massive coil, 51 feet in diameter. Rising through the roof, a 200-foot metal mast topped with a copper sphere 3 feet across. The locals think he's insane. They have no idea they're about to witness something that will change human history. Tesla's plan is ambitious. Generate electrical pulses so powerful they would travel through the Earth itself. Then, using sensitive receivers, detect those pulses at a distance, proving that power could be transmitted through the planet. On the night of July 3, 1899, Tesla is ready for the first major test. He signals his assistant, Cito, close the switch, but only for 1 second. Cito throws the switch. Inside the laboratory, the coil begins to scream with electrical discharge. Sparks crack through the air. Outside, the copper sphere on top of the mast erupts with lightning bolts, 135 feet long, shooting into the sky. The thunder is deafening. People 15 miles away hear it and think a storm has arrived. Horses in the streets of Colorado Springs rear up in panic, their metal shoes throwing sparks on the cobblestones. In nearby homes, sparks begin jumping from water faucets. The ground itself seems to be alive with electricity. Tesla watches his instruments calmly, taking notes. The pulse has traveled through the earth. His receivers, set up miles away, have detected it perfectly. It worked. Wireless power transmission through the earth itself was proven. But that was just the first test. Over the next months, Tesla conducted hundreds of experiments. He discovers something even more incredible. There's a natural resonant frequency to the earth itself, about 8 hertz. Today, we call it the Schumann resonance. Tesla discovered it in 1899. He realized that if he could generate pulses at this exact frequency, the entire Earth would become a conductor. Energy could be transmitted to any point on the surface with almost no loss. Imagine that. A tower in New York powering a factory in Tokyo. A single station providing unlimited electricity to every home on Earth. For free. Because once the system was built, the only cost would be maintenance. The Earth itself would be the conductor. The ionosphere would be the return path. No power lines needed. No monthly bills. No way for anyone to control or profit from it. And that's when the problem began. 16/15/1930, the Desterschinten, Wardenclyffe Tower. Tesla returned from Colorado Springs in 1900 with plans for something unprecedented, the Wardenclyffe Tower. A transmitter powerful enough to send wireless power anywhere on Earth. He needed funding, massive funding. So he approached the wealthiest man in America, J.P. Morgan. Morgan was a financier, a banker, a man who controlled railroads, steel companies, and most importantly, electrical companies. Tesla pitched him on wireless telecommunications, a way to send messages across the Atlantic without cables. Morgan was intrigued. He invested $150,000, about $5 million in today's money. Construction began on Long Island in 1901. The design was magnificent, a tower 187 feet tall, a dome 68 feet in diameter at the top. Underground, a shaft descending 120 feet into the earth, with iron pipes driven even deeper to make contact with the groundwater. The tower was designed to be a resonator, a transmitter that would make the earth itself ring like a bell. But here's what Tesla didn't tell Morgan. This wasn't just for telecommunications. This was for power transmission. Free, wireless, power to everyone. Construction progressed through 901 and 902. And then Morgan found out the truth. One account says Morgan visited the site and asked Tesla directly, "Where can I put the meter?" Tesla, brilliant with physics but naive in business, replied, "There is no meter. Anyone with a simple receiver can access the power for free." Morgan's face went cold. He understood immediately what this meant. If Tesla succeeded, every power company Morgan invested in would be worthless. The copper mining companies Morgan owned, copper for power lines, would be obsolete. The coal companies feeding power plants would collapse. Governments couldn't tax electricity. No one could control or profit from energy. And most importantly, Morgan himself would lose billions. Morgan pulled his funding immediately. But worse than that, he used his influence to make sure no other financier would touch Tesla's project. Morgan was arguably the most powerful man in America. When he said, "Don't invest in Tesla," no one did. Tesla tried for years to find new backers. He failed. The tower stood incomplete, a monument to a future that would never arrive. In 1917, during World War I, the U.S. government ordered Wardenclyffe Tower demolished, claiming it could be used as a navigation landmark for German submarines. But many believe the real reason was different. They didn't want Tesla's technology falling into anyone's hands. The tower was dynamited, destroyed, and with it, the dream of free wireless energy for all humanity. Tesla died in 1943, alone in room 3327 of the New Yorker Hotel, 86 years old, $2,000 in his bank account. The man who invented the 20th century died penniless. Within hours of his death, the FBI raided his room. They seized everything, his papers, his notes, his life's work. They classified it. Much of it has never been released. Even today, 80+ years later, some of Tesla's documents remain classified. Why? What's in those papers that's still too dangerous to reveal? Here's what they don't want you to understand. The technology works. Wireless power isn't impossible. It isn't even difficult. Tesla proved it worked in 1899. Every smartphone today charges wirelessly. That's using electromagnetic induction. Tesla's principle from 1891. Every electric toothbrush, every wireless charging pad, they all use Tesla's technology. But they'll only work over a few inches, maybe a foot. Why? Not because the physics doesn't work at longer distances, but because wireless power at scale would destroy the entire energy industry. Think about what we have today, a $6 trillion global energy industry. Power companies that charge you monthly just to live in your own home. Governments that tax energy consumption. Entire economies built on selling electricity, coal, oil, natural gas. Now imagine wireless power becomes available. Imagine you buy a receiver for $100. You plug it into your home electrical system, and from that moment on, you never pay another electricity bill. Ever. What happens? Every power company goes bankrupt overnight. Governments lose billions in tax revenue. The entire geopolitical structure based on energy resources collapses. OPEC becomes irrelevant. Coal mines shut down. Natural gas pipelines become useless. Solar panel companies go under. Wind farms become obsolete. The entire structure of modern civilization, built on controlling access to energy, would collapse. That's why we don't have it. Not because Tesla was wrong. Not because the physics doesn't work, but because the people in power would lose everything, and they will do anything to keep that from happening. Tesla understood this too late. He thought truth and science would win. He thought people would want progress more than profit. He was wrong. And so he died alone, forgotten, erased from history books. While Edison, the man who stole from him, who publicly tortured animals, who built an empire on inferior technology, Edison became the hero. They named schools after Edison. They put his face on stamps. They taught children that H.E. invented the modern age. But the truth is, you're living in Edison's world, a world of wires and monthly bills and energy scarcity, when you could have been living in Tesla's world, a world of wireless power and unlimited energy and freedom. That's the choice that was made for you over 120 years ago by men who decided that profits were more important than human progress. And now you know. Now you understand why your phone needs a wire to charge, why your home has power lines running to it, why you pay for electricity, not because there's no other way, but because someone decided you should. And Tesla's tower, that magnificent dream that could have freed humanity, it's gone, destroyed, a footnote in history. But the idea can never be destroyed, and maybe someday someone will have the courage to rebuild it, to give the world what Tesla tried to give us over a century ago. Freedom. That's the truth about wireless power. That's what Tesla uncovered. That's what they tried to erase. But now, you know, and knowledge, as they say, is power, even if they try to keep you from having it. If this story shocked you, there's more, much more. What Tesla discovered about energy and frequency that even modern physics can't explain. The 369 code that Tesla said held the secrets of the universe and why the FBI classified as final inventions. Subscribe, because Tesla's story isn't over, and neither is the fight for free energy.